It's great to be here. My name is Marisa Sarfati. I'm an executive coach for 20 years, mainly working with leadership and development. And I'm going to be sharing and asking questions of my wonderful client over here, Lisa Zychek. And Lisa, let's just go straight into who is AppsFlyer and what is your role?
Sure. So good morning, everyone. So my name is Lisa. I'm a Chief People Officer and the founding partner in AppsFlyer. AppsFlyer is a marketing, analytics, and privacy cloud platform. We're a SaaS company, software as a service, so we develop technology for marketers and app developers. And over the course of the last 10 years, I've been growing with the AppsFlyer from a marketing perspective. Thank you for the hint. And transforming into more operational roles. And today I lead the AppsFlyer People Operations team. So as a Chief People Officer, my role very much focused on organizational development and how we support our leaders and also people to grow within company. App economy, it's a very dynamic environment with many regulation, privacy, development, and many others. So one of our focuses when we look at building, culture and supporting organizational growth is how we build this resilience and agility with our company. Yeah, so this is just for the start.
Yes,
I'll let you take it from
absolutely.
here.
So look, I've been coaching. The first time that we met was 2017 when we did a coaching journey with the Lumina. I introduced you to Lumina. And I believe I remember you saying that the company was 360 people, right? 2022, the company is how many people?
So we're 1,500 today with 20 offices around the world.
Right, and I can just say that every other month on LinkedIn, I see AppsFlyer being posted as winning an award for something, culture, the best product, innovations at Mal Vegas, right? And one of the things that I want to know, your role has grown so much. What for you makes your role special as Chief People Officer? And what do you think you really focused on, way back when you were starting this company as employee number 5? What did you really want to infuse in building in the culture of AppsFlyer?
It's a great question, and we spoke about education and learning before, and what's the differences between. I will try to be as interactive as the previous presenter, which will be very hard for us, Marisa, so you up for some dancing or something to keep people up. So back in 2012, when we started AppsFlyer, all of us founding partners, we've been enthusiastic entrepreneurs, no leadership experience, nor experience with building teams. So we've been very much focusing on learning and also in the product that we developed. And I'm coming from, before AppsFlyer, I was in the digital marketing, and with AppsFlyer I transformed more into mobile marketing. We haven't been a pioneer, so we didn't start a new product. This was something that already exists in the market. We had 2 very big competitors founded. We were bootstrap, no funding. So we had to create something really special for our clients. And I forgot the name of the book author, but there's a very good book, 0 to 1, which speaks about how you really create. I think Peter something. He's one of the founders of PayPal. So he speaks about when you start a new business or you have a new project, regardless what you do in your life, you want to immediately create some value. You want to go from 0 to 1 really fast and see what is the competitive advantage you want to bring. So for us, with building apps, we wanted to build an exceptional client experience. So we've been very much focused on being customer obsessed, building platform for marketers, and providing an exceptional experience. And building this customer-obsessed vision and mission for the company when we provide software as a service, so we've been very much focusing on the service quality we provide for our clients. me as back then, Oren, he's the CEO and the co-founder, and Reshev, he's the CTO and the co-founder, and I joined as the marketing director. I've been focusing on how we create our marketing presence, how we build our brand, and focusing on the customer obsession and creating value for our clients. It has a lot to do with feedback, how we collect feedback from our customers and how we implement it into our development and the new versions of the product. So having this experience working with our clients and understand what is the value we build for our clients helped me build a people-obsessed culture. Because if you cannot be obsessed with your people and bring constant value to your organization, you cannot expect from your employees to create this experience to your clients and also internal experience. So culture of learning and culture of collecting feedback was a very strong and significant foundation for building our organization.
So let's talk about your personal journey, because one of the things that I love when I'm working with you especially is that you walk your talk as a leader, right? You expect your people to grow and you do the work yourself. And I think that this is something, it's not always easy to convince the executive leadership to do that, right? So let's first start with your personal journey, and in 2017, thinking of where you were and after the coaching, and also you qualified on Lumina Leader, and you even ran some of that with your own team, the 360. What do you think that coaching process as a leader of this, scaling, starting up rocket ship, what do you think that brought to you in the way that you lead?
Yeah, so in 2017, when I was first introduced to Marisa and to Lumina, it was a very interesting for me to learn how you can have a tool as a playbook to learn about yourself. You basically take a portrait and you can see, what is your expectations from yourself, what is the expectation from people around you, and how you really behave in different situations. So it was very amazing for me to learn how I can change and grow over time. And, later on with the leadership team, how I can support them in their development, because obviously we've been going through so many transformations in the past 10 years, growing from 50 people to 100, from 100 to 200, and then continue this constant workforce growth, 30% year over year, meaning that in 2 years, we've been doubling the company, and the needs and expectations from leaders 2 years before were completely different 2 years later. But we've been hiring people, and we want them to grow, and you also need to bring new leaders into organization, and to build this expectation with an existing leaders, how to work together. So all of this was very challenging, and I think because I'm not coming from the traditional HR perspective, and I was always focused on value, how we generate value, how we create this collaboration, how we focused on our external brand as a market leader and in the market analytics economy, but also focusing on our employer brand and what we want to create, how we create this sense of proud and belonging with our external and internal customers. So building relationship, it's a very important thing, externally and internally. So for me, working with the leadership team and being one of them who grow together, in 2017, later 2019, like fast forward, right? I did a Lumina Leader. And in order to create this collaboration with my leadership team I'm part of, I sent them my profile. And I said, listen, this is my Lumina leader profile. This is how it looks like. I'm like opening this book to you. You can see how I transformed from 2017 to 2019, what has been changed. And speaking about colors, right? We've been asked when we enter the conference what color you are. So I used to, my first portrait was red, blue. But when it was 2017, we were about like 350 people. In 2019, we doubled the team. And I was taking a different approach in my role. So it was clear for me that I need to build my leadership capabilities and I need to go out of blue to the yellow. So I met with Marisa and I said, take me to the yellow. How we do that? So I've been focusing on transitioning to more inspirational leadership perspective, and I've been really investing into it. So, and when I read my leadership profile with my colleagues that fill it for me, I saw many of them said how much I did change. So when I sent it back to them, they could read it, and everybody was immediately buy in to do themselves with their teams and how they can implement it in the organization. Fast forward, we have like 9 people certifying with Lumina, and all business units in the company, most of the business units work with Lumina on different levels of teams, and yeah, creating this relationship and basically being vulnerable, right? So putting yourself out and sharing my experience in my portrait with the leadership team was really fundamental for building with them.
So let's just pause and sort of look at the executive leadership team, right? So, you know, we did a process where we did with the CEO, the COO, and the VPs, we did the 360. We led into a coaching process. We're still in progress with doing other engagements around that. And of course, keeping that cycle of feedback going. How do you get, because, just to give you context as an audience, the tech environment is extremely fierce, very smart people moving very quickly. Often the leaders have no patience. They don't want to spend hours and hours and hours, right? And it's really hard to get that buy-in, to get them to do this process where you have to fill out 7 people's feedback, right? These are people who are running $1 billion, worth of business. So how did you break it down for them? How did you position to, initially you got that excitement and then you told them the reality. How did you actually, feed it in? And what part do you think COVID played in it?
Great question. We can meet for 30 minutes keynote and say like we did an amazing job with the leadership team, but in reality it took a year and a half to go through 360 portrait, 2 people a month, dividing them to different group, understanding what will be dependencies and go first, and how people will feel about this, and how you manage the relationship between them also as they go through the process. So yeah, first of all, COVID had pros and cons on the tech economy. We could see e-commerce thriving and travel and entertainment taking a different hit. On the other side, like games, no one knew before, hitting app stores top charts the day after. So we had to increase our pace, and the business been growing, but people were at home, and we're not the typical company that works from home, so it was like very different for leaders in the company. And they understood that they need some new tools to lead their team. They need some support, what they can do better. And it was just the right time to start the process with them, sharing the value, but also building this as a milestone after milestones, and building this with them, and not hitting all at once. And also understanding that COVID started like early 2020. I don't know how many of you heard about iOS 14. It's a new version of App Store privacy. It was like later 2020, October. At the time, by the time we knew, okay, we managing COVID, we had a new privacy issue we need to handle. So it was like always something new coming in that leaders might say like, no, not now. We don't have time. We can't do this right now. But because I had no expectation, 10 people doing 360 at the same time, it's like, okay, we have 2 people every time. So I would switch from a business leader to a CFO and see how I can shift them in order to keep on going, but understand that, I need to adapt myself to their pace as well. And managing this relationship with understanding business challenges, and also understanding that we also need to have and like this space continuing played good at the end.
So just reflecting a bit on how far we've come, what do you think the impact is of doing these kinds of processes? Like, what are the ROIs that you've seen coming through?
I think in general, feedback, it might be like it sound like a simple thing to do, right? But knowing how to welcome feedback and how to provide the constructive feedback so people can actually learn from it, and always investing in the culture of learning, emphasizing the importance of learning. And learning, it's not only like going to university and finishing your degree. It's continuous reading books and doing online tutorials and getting qualifications, and also going through your personal learning. What did you learn and how you reflect this learning into your life? So with Lumina, we have this practical tool that leaders can learn about themselves, and they can see the traction of their change. So they can see what has been changed and what is the impact they are putting into their development and how it's affect their day-to-day. Besides Lumina, obviously we do many other processes inside the company. So mutual reflection, which is a traditional performance evaluation, but we look at this as a mutual reflection and how we guide people to provide and to accept feedback. Engagement survey that we do twice a year, so we're a data company, right? So we work with analytics, a lot of data for our clients. So we're also very data driven internally. So we will take the numbers from engagement survey, and we will look for the patterns and trends, and we will look at the different leaders and what transformation they did and what's the organizational processes they have been leading, and see how this change over time and what support we can provide further.
So, I think, you said you're a data company. I think that this is one of the things that when I was working with the leaders, the 360 really appealed to them, to see the data of what people were saying, right? And what specifics and what specific areas, needed to be worked on. And I think, what next is, what people normally ask, what is our next steps? What do you see in terms of going forward with the Lumina in your organization? What do you want to share?
So this is continuous learning process, having people qualifying now with Lumina from the HR team, and look how we can take this further and how we can continue building the culture of learning, how we can enhance feedback, how we can enhance people development. This is the next, I think today we speak about Lumina and focus on Lumina, but also looking for a different learning opportunities and how we build this growth mindset. So people will continue looking for the ways for them to grow and to develop and to become a better version of yourself, right? There's one thing that all presentation in apps, so it might be a design thing, but these little things build a perception. So Marisa, you're familiar with 1% done, right? So we often say that we are 1% done, and all presentation in Appsara finishes with a slide 1% done. And it's not because we did so little and we're so lazy and we just didn't progress in anything, but it's because there's 99% of opportunities out there. And as much as you learn, you understand as much you don't know, and how many different things you can still grow into and develop further. So continuous learning and continuous development in leaders and future leaders, how we identify future leaders, what tools we give today to the leadership team so they can identify leaders of the future.
And I just want to say, one of the things that as a practitioner I think is so important is that what Lisa's done is to put, Hagit is the OD champion in AppsFlyer, and it's obviously not only Lumina she's working with, but across the globe. She just finished doing a tour with, with Lisa around leadership. summit, and I think
I think Leadership Summit is also an amazing example of building this growth mindset with people. And the Leadership Summit is the first time we did something like that in the organization. And think about the scale of SKO, like sales kickoff, that every organization does for the salespeople. But how many organizations doing something recurring annually for their leaders? Bring leaders, make workshops with them, focus on the leadership attributes and how we promoting these attributes with an organization. So Hagit, leading organizational development in Apsara, together with the learning and development team, develop a very comprehensive and amazing program for leaders in the company. And this is also was a very interesting learning process, because at the beginning we wanted to have a leadership summit, bring all the leaders together, having this experience, but as this understanding challenges of COVID, and also looking at the budget and how we can make it more efficient, and also localize the experience so leaders will feel part of the leadership summit. We decided to divide it into three summits, which triple the work of the team of L&D and OD, but delivered an amazing experience, having a leadership summit in Israel, in San Francisco, and in Bangkok, which we're back last week.
Yes.
So we wrap it up, unfortunately without team in China this time. But they will complete
we have
later
qualified
this year, right?
our person in China, which is the first person we've
Right.
qualified in China, which is great. So we had that representation. So I just want to wrap up by asking you, we've got 5 minutes for questions. If there are any questions from the floor, or any comments or any thoughts. Sure. Saul?
So it will look like we...
Are we biased? Hey?
yeah, you're biased.
Well, I have to say, knowing you and knowing AppsFlyer, I mean, AppsFlyer has become known as the best place to work in Israel. Everyone queues up to try and get in, and that's because you've created such an exciting culture. Can you share with the audience some of the perks that you get for working at AppsFlyer, and why I should leave Lumina and come and work at AppsFlyer?
So Saul just had his 6th baby, and we will be discussing this morning about the parental benefit we provide in the company. So we introduced earlier this year 6 weeks of paid leave for all intended parents within company. And tech, it's very competitive, and it might sound like something very special, but it is something that we need to focus constantly how we create a fair and competitive work environment for our people. So thinking about parental benefit, kids going to school, thinking about single people, and many other different things. So yes, parental leave, this is something that I'm also very proud about introducing this year.
Great. Okay, so thank you very much for sharing the story, and thank you for inviting us to speak.
Thank you.